All right, everybody, go get that bucket of popcorn. I got a big bag of fun for you today. We're getting a nationwide first look at the new 3610 from Brinkley, and I can't wait to see what you think. Hello and welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Josh the RV Nerd here with Bish's RV down at Brinkley. I was invited down to get the very first look at this new 3610 Model Z, and they are continuing this relentless pursuit of advancement. And I gotta apologize in advance if the glare off the awesome lighting in here is blinding you off the reflection off my forehead. Never mind that, let's take a look at this RV with our floor plan in a flash. This thing is a beast, so it does everything you already know and love about the Big B brand, but they are kicking it up a notch in several different ways. What we're finding here is that they're basically kind of custom tailoring each floor plan they make, sometimes with slightly different equipment and hardware to really dial it in to be maximally effective. So for instance, normally these by default Model Zs have 2 air conditioners and you can delete one if you want to. This big one is so much larger, they are forcing a 45,000 BTU air system on it, and they are doing a 6-point hydraulic leveling system on this one, but those features are not available, nor will they be available on the other Model Zs. They are giving each floor plan the equipment it needs, again, to be maximally functional, and we are not able to custom order something with piece A, B, or C kind of intermixed. But a 45,000 BTU standard air system, you can run all 3 airs, including compressor, on 50 amp service. You can also run 2 of the air conditioners for sure off 30 amp service. Allegedly, they may or may not have accidentally turned on all 3 air conditioners on 20 amp service, but we really don't recommend you trying that. These are hot, cold, camp rated. They're carpetless, ventless, easy cleaning, super Fido friendly if you got a 4-legged furry friend among the family. This thing here, they've cleaned up and even still improved further the way that their front pass-through is executed. And this one includes a little mini camp kitchenette that is very cool. But the real focal point of this one, of course, is that middle bonus room. And I think that's the best way to describe it, because you've seen the living room with all the cool campside windows, the awesome window shades. You've seen the big king bedroom, the extra tall bathroom, which is fantastic. But the middle room in this, it could work as a bunkhouse. A lot of people will refer to this as a mid-bunk, but I do think it's best described as a bonus room due to the fact that it has, you've got the move bunk, get out the way. You've got a dedicated sofa in the slide, a hidden trundle bed for maximum sleeping capacity, and it really has the ability to be built out, and it includes the equipment to function truly like a desk like we're seeing here today. I've already talked way too long. Let's get in there and dive through all the nitty-gritty details. I want to hear what you like, dislike, what are your thoughts, and if you appreciate how we get down away from the office to get you the very first looks at these things, hit that subscribe button, like our video, and let's get rolling, baby. And if you've been following this company since the beginning, some of this might look a little bit familiar today. I was actually there. I put out the very first video ever on a Brinkley RV, and here we are putting out the very first video on another new model again today. So thank you all for your support and voicing that, you like what we're doing here for you. But this living room might look similar to the other Z models that you've seen, the 3100, the 2900. It's a very similar living room. Certainly, it isn't exactly identical. And if you haven't been there since the beginning, if this is your first time seeing this company, I want you to get all the details. And there are some things that are different. Like this one, the 3610, does not have centrally ducted air through most of the RV. It does have a total of a 45,000 BTU air system. And again, you can reliably run 2 of those air conditioners off 30 amp service, and all 3 simultaneously, not just fans, but compressors, truly run them off 50 amp service, pardon me. So there are some things that are different and unique about each of these. And this also kind of serves as, maybe you've seen my video on the 2900 or the 3100. There's updates that they put into this that apply to all of their lineup, and I don't want to skip anything. I want you to see everything. One of the other very important things I want to mention straight away is I have learned through reading the comments on these videos, my camera is not friendly to things in this contrasting color palette. It is not as aggressive and different as it seems. Like that gold, that buckskin brown, they are not as harsh as it looks on this camera. So kind of like if you ever try on a pair of pants to see how they feel on your butt, I encourage you to get in one of these in person and you might see that the color scheme is not quite as aggressive as you thought it might have been. Now, one of the things that's really awesome about this is the stuff you don't see. Let's start right from the top. Notice how you don't see any what's called gimp molding or like oops trim. If the sidewall and the roof, if everything doesn't line up perfectly, a lot of brands put a piece of trim up there, crown molding. Now, crown molding can look really cool, but in truth, if we're being really, really real about this in the RV industry, a lot of times that is there to help mask misses in workmanship. You know, maybe something that wouldn't provide a major issue in terms of function, but fashionably doesn't look great. You also don't see where some guy went with a machine gun stapler going all the way down the wall of this thing. Everything is screwed on from the back side to give it a simple, beautiful, clean look. And you don't see any of those boxy valances and lambrequins on your window treatments. Everything is just sleek, smooth, really, really clean. Now, just to help you kind of understand, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet here and teach you how to fish. I've got the shades pulled right now. Anything that is just a solid, hard blackout shade, like the side of that slide out, it does not open for airflow. Anything that has the day-night dual integrated shade, that does open for airflow. But the night sections of all of those, regardless of whether it opens or not, they all have a reflective backer on it to help keep some hot sunshine out of it. And they've been really listening to customers. Like, people weren't really in love with how their chairs were secured, so they came up with a system where they just added a couple brackets. The chair by the wall just slots in place, and then you actually, there's a couple little straps where you strap the second chair to the first one and call it macaroni so the stuff doesn't go flying all over the place. I just love little smart details like that. And they've been very in tune asking people, show us your mods, and maybe we can integrate some of that stuff into here. Now, handy little wireless charge pad down there, that's something I really like. I wireless charge my stuff all the time if I can. But both of these side stands beside the sofa, they have little mini hidden, not power towers, but basically power towers, where you've got dual household and a USB and a USB Type-C. So you've got a Type-A and a Type-C plug all right there. And they do that on both sides. I've only popped one up here. There is storage on both sides. We will take a look at that in a little bit. We'll actually see all the storage in time. Now let's talk about the air conditioning system on this one, because it is different from the other Zs, and it is not what is intended to become standard on the rest of the Zs. This one needs it. The other ones don't. They do not centralize the air conditioning in the living room or in the middle bonus room. The bedroom and bathroom have a mini ducted air system. And what that does in an RV this long with that much sunshine potentially beating down on the roof of it, it prevents the central ducting from overheating from sun exposure, and it gets the cold air directly into the RV without like heat loss. Now you may have noticed, super pet friendly, carpetless, ventless, and I love it when the slide floor and the main floor matchy match. It looks incredibly seamless, does it not? That's just my nerdy little opinion, but more pet-friendly features built into the steel base of this island. You've got little pet dishes that you can kind of pop out if you want to, but you can toe kick them away and they go away, and you don't lose anything if you don't need them. So if you're not a pet camper, no big deal, no harm, no foul. And you may have noticed how I mentioned steel base on that. If you really paid attention, you may have noticed how this kitchen and entertainment slide is floor flush. Brinkley was the first 8-foot wide fifth wheel brand to do that. No one else that is 8-foot wide had done it before, and I have a suspicion that a lot of other brands are starting to catch up now. So they got rid of the toe stubber, toe kick kitchen over here, and they just made it flush floor all the way throughout. Now let me sit down here at the theater seat, because you are staring at what I like to call Boardwalk and Park Place with the Maxell tapes kind of simulation going on. Straight across the entertainment center, brother. Now that is a power televator. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit here, but as long as I'm sitting down, I want to look at a couple other things. This does not have a traditional RV like DVD stereo system. All the TVs that you're going to see, they're all standard, they're all smart TVs, including like the mid-room and the bedroom. That speaker up top is a 12-volt residential Bluetooth speaker that actually does sync to the television. So when you turn on the TV, it will be able to broadcast sound through your RV system, which, you know, a lot of people don't realize. A lot of televisions are not actually the audio wired into the RV sound system, and this one is. One other major thing here I think is worth noting. The very early generations of your Model Zs, the window behind the entertainment center did not open for airflow, and it does now. So you actually do get that awesome cross breeze, whether you're sitting at the sofa or you're sitting at the, well, either of the sofas, I guess is technically the way to say it. Because remember, again, if I've got the window halfway displayed, that means that one does open for airflow. So kind of keep that in mind. Kind of like the one behind the kitchen does not. But you can, that also means that, let's say, God forbid, you get some grease on the glass. It's now a lot easier to clean. Cleaning grease off a screen, that is not fun. And they do not use those small, little, easy bake ovens. They actually use a bigger oven where if you're really going to spend some time in this, do some like big extended use, full-time RVing, you can. When I said the living room is not exactly identical to the 3100, the 2900, because the RV is long enough, they did need to cheat just a couple inches off the right-hand side of the countertop, but you can see that you do still have room, like if you've got, pot handles that you're cooking with and you want to twist those off to the side so they're not getting scorching hot when you grab them, well, you can do that still here. It's not truly symmetrical anymore, but hey, no big deal. Now, the refrigerator we're looking at today was something that they were testing and prototyping. They will, at this time, continue to use the 16 cubic foot 12-volt fridge that you may have seen in the rest of their lineup. So kind of keep that in mind. And this does come with a 370-watt solar package to help offset that. And remember, when you're going down the road, just the power coming in from the vehicle pigtail is typically enough to offset that fridge. Like when RVs ship and arrive at my home store, which is only like an hour away from, Elkhart County, the home and heart of RV manufacturing and production, the fridges come in ice cold, just that fast. Now, something I think I failed to also talk about in a couple other things, it actually, wow, that is tough. Okay, that is not going to fly open in transit. That's cool. But if you notice, the original Zs did not have this. The Gs did, the toy haulers, and they adopted it into the Z. They have since improved the strength and structure of their box, of their drawers there, with that dovetail kind of construction and design. So heavier duty than it used to be, which is something I think is very, very cool how they continue to improve on that. And I know I've got the shades drawn, but one of the cool things about this one is it gives you windows all over the door side. One of the other unsung benefits of a floor plan like this, if you are going to use it as like the middle room as something of a sleeper, as opposed to like an office or a craft room or whatever, which it could do any of that. That's why I love that it's called a bonus room. Bunk models, camp RVs that sleep a lot of people, usually have the smallest amount of seating. This design allows you to actually have enough seats for all the butts, which, I don't know, that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, this is what I call the Franken-dinette, or it has what I call the Judi Dench Benchy Bench. I call it a lot of things for no particular reason, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you take note, you can use this like just a two-person dining. If you're gonna use it as just an office or a workspace or something like that, you don't have to use that bench in that capacity. You just can. Now, again, there's the wireless charger, but there's still USB plugs built into that theater seating, the cinema seating right there, which is heat and massage, by the way. Now, that bench that we looked at, that can be like a floating ottoman for the rear sofa if you want to kick your feet up, or if you want to be a laptop warrior, you could flip that sucker up. But you're going to find that you don't have to do that when you get into the middle room of this specific floor plan. Of course, we've got that power televator over there, and all of the cabinetry. It doesn't use those like bulldog latches. It has magnetic catches, basically, so that everything just looks, and again, like you don't see buttons, you don't see switches. The visual look and execution of this is always very streamlined, very clean. And they will be adding, I've been told, one of those little spice rack inserts into one of those drawers to the left of the oven, so kind of log that in little memory banks right there. The gigantic pantry that's over here, one of the other really cool things with that is those shelves are removable, adjustable, and you saw how they fit a Keurig machine in there, and there's power outlets in there. So you can actually have a hideaway appliance station in that, which I think is very, very cool. But the little entry shelf, next to the pantry, right when you walk in the door, that little kind of potted plant is displayed below that basket. That also has a set of household outlets that also has a USB Type A and Type C plug on it. So there are household USB plugs all over the place and wireless charging over by your primary theater seat. They've really just gone around and done all of the things on this, which I think is very, very cool. Now, you may have noticed as I was scanning around up top here, you see one of those big XL rain sensoring vent fans. There was a brief period, I think when the 2900 video first came out, where they just couldn't get enough of those to supply into the bathroom. That has since been totally resolved, and you will see that every vent fan in your Brinkleys by default, not as an option, just by default, are all now the big XL vent fans. Now, while we're moving up to the bathroom, or the mid-room, and I'm looking around a couple things, I want to explain a couple other really interesting details that kind of defines Brinkley and separates them in a few ways. So first of all, I have the air conditioning cranked in every room right now. Listen, I'm not using any special noise canceling mics or anything like that. You can sit here and hold a normal conversation, even if the air conditioner's cranked up. You don't have to put the TV up to 11. But a couple other cool things with Brinkley. Sorry. My rock and roll days are long over. I don't really have the hair for it anymore. Let's say you order something right now from Brinkley, and they add a bunch of cool stuff to it before your model is built, and that increases the price of it. Brinkley price locks your RVs, and they're one of a very small number of manufacturers that does that. They price lock and price protect and guarantee your order at the time that it is placed, not at the time that it is built. That's a key distinction. And you still get all the new stuff, so you're getting more for less in that respect. They also keep you in tune. Like if you order an RV, they like send you regular updates like, hey, your unit's going on production, your unit's in final finish, your unit's in the photo bay and stuff like that. Like they're just doing more to communicate with you straight from the manufacturing level rather than having to rely on dealership agents, which, I mean, that should be what we're doing for you, but I'm gonna be real about this. That doesn't always happen every single place. I'll say that I've missed stuff in the past with customers. I love that extra communication and insight where you're really involved straight with the manufacturer. And I had to kind of pause right here because I realized you never really got to see this. Like, they still have a physical switch panel. Awnings, slides, lights, all that stuff you can operate right from here, but you can connect to this wirelessly from your phone if you want to. Also, our living room lights are just on a simple dimmer switch. Living room, bedroom, even the middle room, all on simple dimmer switches. A little voltage monitor right there. Think of that like, you know, in your car, you have your fuel gauge. That's like your fuel gauge for your batteries, which I think is kind of neat. Now, people have asked, yeah, but what about central vacuums? Brinkley doesn't do those. They do prep in the front closet for one of those Dyson cordless wand styles, however, just so that, again, you don't have extra cords and wires and stuff hanging all over. But this right here is really the thing that defines this as different from the other models. They did not go with a loft above because most of the time they were playing with that idea. But most of the time the lofts above, they're open to the hallway. They're not really private and enclosed. The kids wake up easy if there's any sort of noise. They wanted to do this different. So they just made the middle room a dedicated middle room, and that allowed them to have a dedicated central air system specifically for this room right here. Now, you may notice what they've done, like some brands will give us a sofa. Some brands will give us an extra bed. Some brands will give us a move bunk, get out the way. Brinkley has done all those things, and I love that they included a ladder for that upper bed. So giving you another look here, you can see how that flips up out of the way. The bottom sofa rolls over, and it has a hidden trundle bed down below it. They're doing everything everyone else I've ever seen do, and then a step above and beyond. But this over here I think is really cool. This big smart TV straight across from the sofa in the middle room right here. If you notice, there's like a desk shelf below it. Up in the bedroom, you are going to see where the dresser can actually slide open. This is the exact same mechanism. It's the exact same size. What they're doing is they're including a little conversion plank right there so that if you want to, you can slide that out and create one giant desktop space. And there's still some mini storage under that little contraband shelf there, basically. And right now, that TV is on a fixed mount. They're going to put it on a pivot so that if you want to face the TV over here, you can. And if you're going to use this as an office, you can have the big screen over here working off your computer, and you could do a second screen or something like that over here, because a lot of people say once you've gone multi-screen, it's hard to go away from it. Now, another thing that I was told is moving forward, that conversion plank is going to start shipping under the bed of a lot of the Zs, so that if you want to do this in the bedroom of say like a 3100, you could do it there too, which I think is great. Now, any of my Dungeons and Dragons nerds, You recognize this right away, right? The golden D20 that only rolls 20s every single time. And let me tell you, if you can calculate THACO, I bet you and me would be friends. I'm just gonna say that. Now this I thought was very interesting. Up here in the hallway, Brinkley really doesn't like just blank walls. They don't like stuff just looking unthought of. Well, one of those overhead cabinets in the middle room actually passes through, you can see the hinge hardware right there, into this hallway. And again, one of the founders, one of the designers of the Model Zs here, he actively uses RVs. And what he uses for is, like, they put a little basket right here, and they put like their sunscreen and stuff like that. They put some beach towels in the upper section so that they could like grab something and go real quick, or like dog leashes or something like that, or hats, you know, to cover your head. Just attention to detail. I kind of like that idea. But at the same time, if you're gonna use it for like kids' clothes, it is kind of open air to the public. I don't know that I love that. I'm a little bit split 50-50 on that. Kind of like this bathroom. That mirror is a medicine cabinet, but it's easy to miss because they actually built it right into and recessed it into. I'm sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. I didn't want to like blow your head off because my face is right next to the microphone and I got a big mouth and voice. I get it. But like I was saying, there is storage behind that. And then down here, solid surface counters persist all the way through, even into the bathroom. One of my only nitpicks is the storage below the sink. I sort of wish it didn't have a shelf just to give me a nice little place for a wastebasket in the bathroom. Now, you may have noticed in the middle room and here again in the bathroom, you do have a true private in-wall sliding pocket door, and that actually does have like a latch function, so if someone's moving around the RV, it doesn't slide shut, although the leveling system on this will really help avoid that. Now your stool here, porcelain foot flush bowl, fantastic room around that. And again, they did the same thing in the mid room. I don't know if I showcased that. The left wall when you walked in looks exactly like this bathroom wall here, including those little J hooks. They used a J hook because I'm Josh the RV nerd, and that has nothing to do with it. They just had that hardware and thought it looked really nice. Now, I don't want to take you into wide angle lens mode if I can help it, so bear with me. You see that big storage cabinet beside the shower there? Giving you a look inside that, you may notice that is where the tankless on-demand water heater controller is located. They're really doing everything they can to keep, you know, controls and switches kind of hidden and masked away. And they have one of the tallest upper decks I've ever seen. I'm a little bit over 6 foot tall, and you can see how I have awesome headroom in that. And it's actually because of the air conditioner. And we're going to talk about why that's the case. But this is something I love. They have the Ahsoka Tano white lightsaber lighting above the shower enclosure right there. So that, like right now, this RV is indoors. But what if it's nighttime and you want to take a shower? You wouldn't really be able to see what you're doing. It's really nice to be able to have that there. And that is a seamless one-piece molded shower enclosure and laminated built right into the side of it that you can't even see right now. It is prepped for one of those 300-pound rated fold-down like teak shower seats. So you can actually have a shower seat over here if you want it, and you can actually see that in my my full factory walkthrough video. I had a chance to be able to see one of these before the skins go on, which you learn a lot of different things about them. Moving up here into the bedroom, once again, you have triple air conditioner on this, a total of 45,000 BTUs of cooling power. And this one right here, you don't see central ducting in the bedroom, but it actually does have a central air duct that shunts off of this into the bathroom. So this is direct dump into the bedroom, but it is ducted into the bathroom. It's unconventional, but it minimizes ducting to maximize functional effectiveness. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. All right, yeah. Anyway, now they use a Rhino box style chassis, which means that you notice how it's like flush floor all the way through here? Well, Carol Baskin, take a look at this. My nerdy tall self can walk straight through this thing. Even I don't have to duck under entry doors or anything like that because the air conditioners are a lower profile. They're able to have a taller ceiling inside. It's awesome. Now here in the bedroom, by the way, the lights are about to flicker. If you are light sensitive, you might want to close your eyes. I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1. In the bedroom, the lights already dimmed down a little bit, but they're still on a dimmer switch. everything in here is just muted and a little bit calmer. And in case you're wondering why are the lights flickering, is that the RV does? No, that's what my camera does as the light adjusts. It's trying to figure out what is going on here, you know. The shelves above the bed, perfect little phone style shelves. And you've got, again, dual USB outlets up there, some USB Type A and Type C kind of outlets. You also, like today we're looking at the 70 by 80 king bed. You do have the option of getting a factory true queen. And if you do that, you'll actually have more room to walk around the bed and you'll have side stands. But here's the thing, if you're looking at one of these that has a king installed in it, if I get the bed out of the way, you see how the bed base is actually queen size. You can always shave down to a queen, even if you're buying one that already has a king in it, like if you're shopping one that's in stock. And the lights beside the bed that you saw, those have a three-way switch. You can turn them off, on, or motion mode. So if you swing your feet off the bed at the edge of the night, it will illuminate indirectly under the bed so that you can see your way to the bathroom, which I think is cool. Now, this is prepped and ready for stackable washer dryer. If you're so inclined, that is something that we could take care of and put in here. And they do have that TV downward dog angled so that, you know, it faces you and it's a little bit easier to see. But remember that conversion plank to create a desk that we saw in the middle bonus room. Remember that exact same thing can perform the exact same function here. And because they left so much room between the bed and the dresser, let's say you're looking at a 3100 Brinkley. That feature didn't used to exist. That's a new feature. The 3100 Brinkley's bedroom could be potentially an office. It could be an awesome little laptop warrior station for you. Sorry, I bumped the camera right there. But here's one of the other things. People ask me all the time, can you use the slide when it's closed? And here's the thing. In the motorized industry, sure, because you're expected to be able to be in the RV while it's going down the road. In towable RVs, the answer is normally, I can't promise you anything because manufacturers don't test for it. But Brinkley is changing that. Brinkley's the first towable RV manufacturer to say you can use our sleeper slides when they're closed. Because again, the fella that designs this stuff uses it. And he said, man, when I was traveling, he went cross country. He went from Michigan to California and back in like a 2-week adventure and said, sometimes you pull in, you got to be able to sleep in the bed somewhere. And you can't always put the bed slide out, especially the big deep slide that they have. So they're building their sleeper slides so that if you're going down the road and you make a travel stop, you can lay in them and occupy them without them extending. Now, to my knowledge, they've not done the same like with your seating slides. I don't know that they really need to, but that is I think a major climate shift. Now, I personally really like this. I like it when the middle room door is actually off the hallway side right here because it allows you to still kind of be able to get here in transit mode and it doesn't take away so much from the kitchen. And again, you can still get through this. Actually, what's funny is when the slide closes, it almost makes a better office because the sofa works as the desk function very, very well right there. I don't think they intended that, but hey, Bob Ross happy little accident sometimes works. Now, if you're a person of larger stature, this may be a little bit tricky, but you can still weave your way through here and you can fully access the entirety of the refrigerator and the freezer without ever touching a slide button. As far as any quad slide middle bonus room fifth wheel goes, this is the most closest to A+ travel access I've ever seen. And you know, when I was going through this RV, I had one thought. I was like, you know, over there in that middle room, that was a really nice MacBook sitting there. It really helped kind of showcase everything. It'd be a terrible shame if it just came up missing. Now this is a big rig. And one of the questions is what kind of vehicle are you going to need to move it around? And for a big rig, you're going to want a big vehicle. This thing with its length and its weight, I personally kind of recommend starting with a 1-ton. And if you're going to be going long distance with something this large, I don't know that you would regret the extra stability that you might get from a dually. You know, if you've got like a real heavy kind of payload package and stuff, you may not necessarily have to go dually. If you're going to go shorter distances, you might be able to get away with single rear wheel. But again, if I was going to go cross country across windy plains, you've got a big giant sailboat, a beautiful one, but a big giant sailboat behind you right here. You are going to probably want that extra stability. Now, again, this is a major important fact to understand. This specific RV, because of its size, its length, and its weight, they really felt it appropriate this be outfitted with a 6-point hydraulic system. But I cannot stress enough, they are not applying that to the rest of their, like the 3100, the 2900, 6-point hydraulic, frankly, can't even fit on those. Yeah, in a lot of instances, nor would it really enhance the function and benefit whatsoever. So that is not going to happen. The triple air conditioning system on this one, not going to happen on those right now. And, you know, that's each model, again, going to be kind of custom tuned to work the way that it needs best to work. Now, first of all, good gravy, the eye appeal on these is so smexy. But I want to direct you to the sides of that extra deep bed slide right there, which again, they have tested and rated so that you can actually use, occupy, and sleep in that while it is retracted, the bedside exclusively. But that's one of the cool things with Brinkley. The fellas that founded the company, that designed the products, they actually camp. So they understand those things that people have been wanting and needing for so long that some engineer in a room or some executive in a boardroom doesn't necessarily understand, because a lot of times they don't camp. But the other thing I want to point your attention to is that they are not using Schwintek slides. They're using a different kind of system called a slim rack. It just holds more weight better, a little bit better service records on those. I don't think it's an accident they added that little, you know, visibility scare light directly above their logo. I'm really suspecting that that was done with some significant intent. Now, the furnace is mounted on the outside of the RV, so it's easier to get to and access for service purposes. You don't have to tear stuff apart to get to it. Large capacity tankless on-demand water heater. What I mean by that, like, what do you mean capacity? They're tankless. I mean the BTUs. That is a higher BTU tankless water heater, so that if you're taking a hot shower and somebody kicks up the like kitchen sink hot faucet, you're not going to end up taking suddenly a cold shower, which is nice. Now, our docking center over here has a couple really cool things. This has been one of the things that really kind of helped separate and define Brinkley since day one. The electronic dump gate valves. You can literally stand here and push a button and open and close your tank valves, and they have little indicator lights on these so you can tell if your valves are open or closed, since otherwise you have no real reference point. And in case you're curious, yes, there is absolutely a bypass point. There's actually a couple different ways they can get to it, but they've started including this little, basically, pouch down here, so that you could, if you had to, manually pull open the valves. Now, it's obviously under the RV, but I love this almost ground effect lighting that they have going on. Really, really handy when you are emptying your holding tanks at night. I think that's a very cool thing. Now, at a glance, you're looking at this, you're like, no way! They made this a two-headed sewer monster? No, they did not. It is a single-point sewer outlet, which is fantastic. The thing that we're seeing, the other thing we're seeing is the stinky slinky sewer tube right there. So, you know, you don't have to mix your black tank stuff with the other stuff and get pink eye. Now, we are, hold on, take a look. I'll get you a better look at something else. But sorry, there's so much to talk about here. I don't know which direction to go. The underbelly, by the way, it is enclosed. It does have radiant barrier. It is forced air heated. They do have holding tank heaters that are thermostatic. So, you know, people like to ask, you know, is a hot cold camp rated? Yeah, absolutely. It's full-time RVing rated. So, you know, they're doing all the things everyone's doing, really, and then some. Like little details like this. The split baggage door with dual magnet holdback, so they're not flopping on your head or swinging in the breeze. Nice little touches like that. Also, over here, they've tweaked up their auto leveling controls, and they're so in tune with consumer feedback. People said, you know, it's kind of hard to crane my neck around in there to see it. So they mounted it on a little 45-degree angle now. It's just tiny little stuff like that that just translates into, I think, superior experience of ownership. I wonder if she knows she's on candid camera. Anyway. Their staff down here is so awesome, and it's so much fun. Anyway, this right here, they have actually dual disconnects. They have one for, like, traveling in the RV to allow power to certain critical functions, and then they have one for, like, hard storage, which is cool. One of the things that you can't really see very overtly, though, is that these are prepped, like full house inverter prep. So if you want to add an inverter, every single outlet in the RV is pre-wired to be able to function off of that. And if you want to add like a 3,000 watt inverter, that even includes the microwave. Now, This is kind of cool over here. A couple things. First of all, you already saw the outside shower on the other side. You've got like another little hookups over here where that blue coily hose can move. And this is an outdoor controller for your Bluetooth speaker. And I love the household and dual type USB plugs over here. But you notice how they've got that sliding access panel to all their belly stuff? They did not go through and specially clean and prep inside there. You notice how it doesn't look like a rat's nest of wires? If you watch my full factory video tour on how these are constructed, that's what they do every time. They even vacuum and sweep out areas you can't see. Like, you don't just see rough cuts in the floor. It's all framed out. Everything is done with intent. That takes more time. That takes more labor. And like you see their hose ducting right there. It looks like kind of dryer hose ducting that's been wrapped in duct tape. That stuff, it works better. It is incredibly puncture resistant. And you may notice how you've got a direct air heat duct down here into this cavity. What's also cool is there's radiant barrier layering, basically not only in the bottom of the underbelly, but under the walkable parts of the floor as well. So like you're creating a whole thermal box on this sucker effectively, like a little kind of belly oven situation. Now, if you notice, we've got dual power awnings, and this one with so much sidewall space really has some wicked awesome patio space for your family. But check out these windows. Any of these nightshade windows that slide open, they all have a radiant barrier backer on them. So like if you're camping in sun country, Texas, Arizona, Florida, kind of places, California, stuff like that, I've taken in trades. I've been doing this almost 15 years now. I've taken in trades on RVs that were like 12 years old that the windows had really almost never been opened, because what the owners in those places do, because it's so hot from the sun, is they will shut those blinds and put foil reflectix behind the shades. Brinkley has that integrated from the factory level right into the RV. It's just those extra little thoughts and details that they're putting inside here. Now this little camp kitchenette, I wouldn't be surprised if that changes and tweaks a little bit. But again, this being prototype number 1 is a proof of concept unit. They're still getting it dialed in, and they do want some of your feedback on this. And of course, you do have the gas grill cooker hooker right there. Now, as long as we're getting down low, couple things. First of all, some folks don't really like these steps because sometimes you can flip dirt into your rig. Well, again, Brinkley knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two, and they allow you to flip the steps clean and kind of brush them off before you flip them into the camper. So when you put them away, you're not flipping the great outdoors to your great indoors. Now, speaking of doors, they have recently updated to the remote RV lock system. You basically have a key fob to deadbolt lock your RV, which I think is pretty cool and pretty slick. And you're seeing a lot of RV companies go to this, it's called a Safety Rail system by MoRide. Here's the reason I like it. A big folding handle like you've seen in the RV industry for many, many years. They're fine, but let's say that some unmonitored crotch goblin running around the campgrounds flips that handle over your door. Unless you scream for help, you're gonna have to kick the door open and break your handle. Well, now you don't have to do that, which I think is very cool. There's just no way that that can happen. Something else is cool. I've forgotten to talk about this in like every Brinkley video I've done so far, but sometimes it's what you don't see, and that is that you notice how you don't see screws. You don't see those fasteners. They are basically riveted from the back side in so that you just get a nice clean look at everything. And have you ever seen, the skirting that hangs down, this metal skirting that we're looking at? A lot of manufacturers just have this like almost scrap piece of tin that they just sort of screw or staple in place. Look at that big black bracketing that Brinkley's using, and look how many there are. The reason that's important, if you want to do some serious highway traveling, that skirt is going to get wind buffeted like you wouldn't believe. It's going to get Jimmy wind buffeted. And that extra strength and support is one of those things that will keep this RV looking great. Something else you can't see is the fact that they are using Asdel, and you can actually get a look at that, again, with our full factory video tour. I really encourage you to check that out. From the raw chassis up, we will show you how these things are constructed. Now, wrapping our way around the back right here, this is Well, something I really enjoy, the junk in the trunk storage system. Under that rear hide-a-bed, they realized there's just a pocket of space that nobody was really using, and they weren't the first to try something like this, but they're one of the only ones doing anything like this. And anyone else I've seen, they've kind of said, yeah, we sort of like what Brinkley's doing there. Now, it's easy to miss because that light is kind of blinding us, but there is a household outlet right there, and there is a heat duct back here as well. So that cavity is forced air heated. You've got a 3,000-pound towing package on the back of these with 4-way wiring harness and safety chain hooks. I really like the double tail lights. I do kind of wish one of those was mounted vertically a little bit higher, but I think that that would be tricky with their construction to try to accomplish that. That's just a tiny safety thing. But again, I have to go looking for trouble with a map and glasses on these to find anything. And that backup camera is standard with a 7-inch monitor, a nice big monitor you can actually see when you're in the vehicle. And again, this model standard with a 45,000 BTU total triple air system, providing you maximum function and effect in all areas of the RV with absolutely minimal roof ducting to keep that air where you want it. Now, the reason a lot of times I'll just give you sweeping footage of the roof, but there's a lot to talk about up here, like factory standard 370 watt solar package with 50 amp charge controller, and they're using the wiring gauge and a strong enough charge controller. You could add a second one of those and daisy chain them together and significantly bulk up your solar package. And they know that because, again, one of the owners and founders of the company, the guy that designs the Model Zs, he personally did it, tested it, and uses it, and it works. Did you notice, by the way, these air conditioners are low profile? That is how they're able to get such a tall upper deck without being taller at the highest point overall. They're using a shorter air conditioner so they can build the ceiling and the walls higher, which is neat. Now, you see a couple different things, like if you're an educated looker-atter of campers, you see these little white hockey puck things. That is an attic vent. What that is doing is it's letting the hot air that builds up when the sun's beating on this in the roof of the RV, lets it breathe out to help keep everything just cool and comfortable. And this sealant is different from almost anything else used, especially in the towable RV industry. It's called like MS Polymers, and basically, essentially, this is about as close to a maintenance-free roof as you're ever going to find. I don't ever like to represent something as being maintenance-free because I think that that's setting you up for bad expectations and failure. But the type of roof membrane they're using, the sealants they're using, theoretically, maybe you just got to wash it off every now and then. You really shouldn't have to do a lot of work and resealing up here. That's a major difference. Now, you see a couple different colored caps over here. The two white caps are like your sewer kind of stink pipe sort of things. And we're going to talk more about an awesome feature on the gray tanks when we get back down to the ground level. But this little black tube right here, that is something a little bit different. That little black tube cap over there is actually like a pre-run conduit. If you want to go crazy adding aftermarket solar, if you want to install a Starlink or something, you want to have a place to run a cord down through the roof, you don't have to like rip out wall panels and drill things out. They've already given you something where you can just easily feed a cord and cable down through to accomplish that. So not only are they already future-proofing things more with the ability to expand the solar, they're future-proofing things even further to allow you to customize your RV without screwing stuff up and really without worrying about like, oh, is this going to negatively affect various aspects of my warranty? You can do a lot here while still maintaining total confidence and peace of mind. And I know this is running long, and thank you very much for hanging with me. But again, if I was going to be spending this kind of money, I'd sure want to know all the different details I could possibly about this thing. So I mentioned something about the gray tanks. You may have noticed when I flashed the specs on the screen, I referred to it as 90 gallons true capacity. What a lot of manufacturers will do is, you know, when they build all their RVs, they will have like, you know, a gray tank for the kitchen and a gray tank for the bathroom. And in truth, this does, but they actually have a cross flow system so that you have dual 45-gallon tanks that cross flow and equalize. You have a true 90-gallon capacity on this, which is very, very uncommon, especially in a towable RV application. Now, when you got a big rig like this, if you're gonna be towing, you want some peace of mind, and that's where these tires come into play. They're using the same tires here in the Z series that they're using on the gigantic super heavyweight Model G toy hauler triple axle guys. They are 17.5-inch Cooper H-rated tires, to my knowledge, and I've yet to have somebody provide me a documented case of a 17.5-inch H-rated tire flat just on its own, just failing, just the tire failing in a towable RV application. Now, if you catch a nail or a screw or something on the road, that's a different story. But the tires have been as close to bulletproof as you could possibly have desire for. And they are using a banded TPMS system, meaning you don't have separate valve stem caps that are real funky when it comes to like weather changes or like a stone hitting them or something like that. It's all built right into the tire. And an interesting note on that, when they first started using it, they had a little bit of hitch in their giddy up. A couple owners spoke up. Brinkley went out of their way to publicly acknowledge this to their owners, not to try to sweep it under the rug. And even one of the main people from TST, the supplier, they got involved and personally offered their number up in the Brinkley Facebook group. If you have a problem, call me. I will help handle this. And they were so on top of it and ahead of it. I thought it was absolutely awesome. And I love that they're seeing like, hey, you know what? Maybe we're not perfect here, but we're going to make it right for you. And that means a lot to me as a consumer. So thanks again for tuning in. I can't wait to hear what you think about this one. I know it ran long, but it's a long RV, and there's a lot to learn about a Brinkley. It's not your father's fifth wheel by any stretch. They go a little bit further and a little bit beyond in a lot of different ways and directions. Now, at the time of this filming, we may or may not have pricing available. I will still leave you a link in the video description or scan the QR code here off your screen if you're watching on TV, and you'll be able to check out our website where we can hopefully give you at least some concept of what the dollars and cents are going to be on this, because naturally that's an important question. I don't know it at the time of this recording, but again, it's one click or one scan away. No need to give us your grandmother's social security number. I want to hear where you think they nailed it, where you think they failed it, how they can continue to push forward and improve, and what do you think they should do next? There have been rumors that maybe smaller fifth wheels, maybe smaller travel trailers, we might start seeing snippets of those by the end of this calendar year, maybe rolling into the spring show season of 2024 calendar year. Is that something you're interested in? Is there certain floor plans or different concepts or something the industry's missing? Where should they go next? Let us know, and we'll let them know. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.